Hi everyone, welcome back to another For Those Who Code video. This channel is where we learn and share skills about design and development. If you want to grow your skills and learn new things that's coming up, please like, share and subscribe for more. Images are everywhere in the digital products we build, and they are the main reasons why our application loads slowly and becomes bulky. In this video, we'll be discussing image optimization. We'll go through step by step on the most useful feature provided by our Sharp library, which is a way to make our images more user-friendly, load faster, and even maintain quality. If you guys don't know what is Sharp, Sharp is a high-performance module for resizing and formatting images. It supports image formats like JPEG, PNG, WebP, ABIF, TIFF, GIF, and SVG images. According to its documentation, the typical use case for the Sharp library module is to convert large images in common formats to smaller, web-friendly JPG, PNG, and WebP images of varying dimensions. So what can Sharp do? Sharp can do a lot more things out of the box. It helps us to resize images according to the dimension that we need, or formatting images from .png to .jpeg or any of the extensions out there. And it also helps in color manipulations like manipulating RGB values or grayscale, and also it helps us to transform image brightness or add a saturation, hue, blur, and many more out of the box. So what are we going to do with the Sharp library? Well, we'll be creating an image with Sharp library first. We'll be resizing images, making it grayscale, play with the transform, and play with the values of brightness, saturation, hue. We will add image blur, and we will also add optimization to our images one by one, and ultimately add a dynamic functionality to the Sharp library so that we can optimize the bulk number of images at once. So there are a lot of alternatives to Sharp for image optimization out there. I've listed very short and few alternatives right here, but you can find tons of optimization libraries and tools out there. Some of them are Image Optim, Short Pixel, Tiny PNG, or maybe Tiny JPG, Compressor.io, Kraken, Image Optimizer, or user services like Cloudinary, which helps us in automating our entire image management lifecycle for more extra features. So right now we are in Sharp official documentation, and along our code I will take a reference of this particular documentation so that it be really easy for us to stay in sync as well. So and moreover, I have also created our rough project right here, and we have our images, which is this one, and the credit goes to Unsplash. And then we have the index.js file, which is currently empty, and output file will have the output of our image optimized and other image processing that we do. And then we have package.json, where we have the Sharp library installed as well. So first of all, we will create images with Sharp. First of all, let's create a constant and call it Sharp, and we will require Sharp from our packages, and then we can have an async function, and inside here we will have a try block and also a catch block, and inside our try block we will create another constant and call it new image, and we will wait for our Sharp library to create image for us, and we will pass an object where we will make the use of something called create, which is a constructor factory to create an instance of Sharp. And furthermore, we can chain other methods as well. And the parameter it takes are option.create, and we can pass down an object with the width, height, channels, background, and furthermore we can pass down the values of RGB and alpha values. And we have some kind of similar thing right here, but we will also make the use of something similar. And for this one, we can write create, and then we can pass down the width of 1200 and also a height of around 1200. Generally, we are not really literally making images anyway. And for the channels and background, I will just copy this one and format a little bit. Before going to cast block, I want to change some methods that's available to us. And we have something called .png, which changes the file to .png extension, and to file, which helps us to output the path. So for the output, we have this output directory folder here, and then we can have output new image.png, and inside our catch, we want to catch any of the errors. If there is error, we will just console log the error. And if we hit a save and run this thing, and obviously we have left out bracket there, so let's execute again, and if we see our output, then we see this particular image right here. So this is how we generate images with the help of Sharp. Now let's experiment with the resizing option available inside Sharp. So let's remove our try block right here, and then write our await for Sharp library, write our path, which is images and workplace.jpg, and then we can chain another method, which is resize, and inside here we can pass down the height and width. As you can see, resize images height and width. When height and width are provided, the image should fit these areas. So some of these values are also CSS property, so like cover, contain, fill, outside, and we also have different position is like sharp.position, and then something called sharp.gravity, sharp.strategy. So you can also go through the documentation if you want to dig in this one, but for now we can just pass down our values. So we can have 300 width and 300 height, and chain down another method which is called toFile, so which will output our file to a directory which is output, and inside here we can have new image.png, and then let's format a bit, hit a save, and if we execute our this particular file, we must see our 300 by 300 image of this particular image right here. So this is how you can also work with resizing images, and furthermore we can also add on something called fit, and I suppose it's covered in default, so we can have our fit contain. Generally it's basically a CSS property, so I think we don't have any much difference. So yeah, we don't have a much difference, but it's something associated with CSS property. So you can also go through the documentation and experiment with the resizing options available. So if you want to add or change our original image to a grayscale, we have another method which we can chain, which is grayscale. And if we just add a grayscale right here, we must see our new image with the grayscale format. And right here, as you can see, the image changed to grayscale. So this is how we can convert any images to grayscale as well. Also, if we want to get the metadata of this particular image right here, we can add another method, which is metadata, and we also need to console log this particular thing right here. So let's console log the metadata, and if we just save it and run this one, metadata is not defined. So I guess I can create a constant here and name it metadata, and then again run this one. Metadata is not defined, so let's temporarily remove this one. and hit save. And if we run this one, we can see the metadata of that particular image, which is a format of JPEG, and then width and height and space and channels and all the metadata that we need if we have to process this image furthermore as well. So if we need to transform this particular image, like adding brightness, saturation and hue or rotation, we can do that with something called modulate. So modulate helps us, which takes down the parameters where we can pass down the brightness, saturation and hue. So we will experiment with this one. So for this one, we can inside our try block, we can just remove this one and have our another method, which is modulate, which takes the parameters of brightness, and for the brightness we can write 3, and also saturation of 0.6, and then also we have the hue as well, which can be around 140 for now, and then we can convert this particular image to PNG. So .png, and we want to output this to a file and name it output slash newer image.png. And I guess this is pretty much it for adding brightness, saturation and hue. So let's run this one, and as you can see, we have the newer image, and right here we can see the brightness, saturation and hue implemented to this particular image right here. So this is how we can play with the brightness, saturation and hue with the available of the modulate method that we have, which you can also take a reference of the documentation. Now let's also take a look at how we can add blur inside our images. So for that one, we can make the use of another method to chain, which is .blur. We can format a bit and run this script. So after running the script, we can see the newer image as an output. As you can see here, we don't have much of blur effects, but if we take a look at the documentation, then we can see that it accepts a parameter, which is a sigma number. And behind the scene, I also don't know how this technically works, but it takes the number between 0.3 and 1000. So for now, we can add a random value of 500 and run this one. And this may a little bit take of time because it is a slower and more accurate Gaussian blur, so as per the documentation. So I guess it's taking a quite bit of time, and as you can see here, we have the newer images, which is kind of completely blurred. So for now, I will just skip this because it's taking a bit longer time. So this is how we can stimulate blur for our images, which can be a little bit slower as per the value we passed in. Now let's see how we can rotate our images with the help of Sharp. So we have our image right here. So let's remove this constant, and then we can chain another method, which is resize for now, and pass down an object with the width or width of 1200 and then height of also 1200, and then we can chain another method of rotate, and we can pass down the value as a parameter, and then we can have our to format file printed to PNG, and then for the PNG we can also add quality of the image, which can be around 200, and then lastly to file and output this image to a file and call it rotated.png. So let's format it and let's run this script. Integer between 0 and 100 for quality. Okay, so for the quality we can pass down between 0 to 100. For now we can pass 50, and as you can see here, we have workspace resized, but it should be rotated. Oh, rotated is this one, but change the path to output and rotate.png, and let's remove this for now and then run this one again. And looking at the image, we have successfully implemented and rotated our image. This is how you can add rotation to your images and also maintain its quality, passing down the values between 0 to 100. So along with the rotate, we have also have something called dot flip. So we can also change this method to our function right here, and we can rename it this to flipped.png and run this script. And then as you can see here, we have the output flip.png, and right here the image is flipped. So now let's experiment with something called buffer. So generally buffer is also a Node.js module which provides a way of handling streams of binary data. So we can write the output to a buffer, and then it outputs a JPG, PNG, and these extension and raw pixel data, which are totally supported. And it takes a callback function of 3 arguments: year, data, and info. We can also add down a parameter if needed to our option object, and also have dot then as a callback function, and finally catch errors if any. But for now we will just implement a simple buffer example. So inside our code, I have just added a simple dot buffer method which doesn't take anything inside here. So and we are reading files from our file system module imported right here up here, and write file sync, and then we are writing this particular file inside our output. So generally as you can see, we have this particular file which is an image which is processed with buffer. Now let's move ahead and optimize our images. First of all, we will optimize our image one by one, and we will also add dynamic functionality to our images. Right now we have a couple of more images added inside our images folder. We will one by one optimize these images, and also write some scripts for dynamically optimizing all of these files inside our images folder as well. So for now, I will just remove everything that's under this one and create a constant of async optimize, and which is an asynchronous function, and we will make the use of var function and have our try block and also catch block. And inside our try block, we want to create another constant and name it image, and await our sharp library to process this particular image. For the first one, I will want to have image, which is images, I guess, and then blender.jpg, and I want to chain another method which is resize, and pass down width of, let's say, 700, and also a height of 700. As we discussed before, this would be cover in default. So I want to change this one to another extension which is .png, and I will also can pass the quality that I want it to be output. So quality can be around 0 to 100. So for now we will just have .50 for now, and then we will also need another method which is toFile, and we will write optimize.jpg, I think it's png, so optimize.png, and inside our catch block, if something happens, then we will just execute console.log error for now. And then I think we need to call this function as well. So let's execute this particular script and see what we come up with. So let's clear our terminal, run this one, and as you can see here, we have optimize.png, so which is we have taken blender.jpg and converted to optimize.png. And if we take a look, this is the exact dimension that we want, and we have also controlled its quality as well. And here is the original image, and here is the optimized image. So this is how we can use image optimization for just one image. And here comes the play of our main part of the video, which is processing image dynamically. In a sense, we have a list of image and we want to process each image and process it with the Sharp library in order to optimize all images at once. The same way goes to .png as well. So we can write node image.png and optimize second, and we can output this inside an output directory, and then jpeg, then I guess the quality is the same that it receives. So let's delete this one. So and we can save this and run this script again, and I guess it didn't, yeah, it did output me, which is this particular file, which is changed to JPEG from optimized second.png. I guess this is JPEG. So we will run this one again, and as you can see here we have the .jpg. So let's move ahead and create a dynamic processing image optimization with the help of Sharp. So for adding dynamic functionality to our images for optimization using Sharp, I have just cleared out all the files inside of output, and also I have a blank slate inside of and also I have a blank slate inside of our index.js. So first of all, I want to create a constant and make the use of fs, which is file system, a module inside of Node, so that we can read and write files inside our folders, right? So also I want to import path and require path. Obviously, I want to require Sharp as well. Create another variable and call it directory name, and which should be a string, and images, which is this one. And for our convenience, later on we can just write directory name and write anything that we want. So let file names. So the file names are fs.readsync, and we gonna pass this directory name inside here. We're gonna loop down for each file names. First of all, let's print out all the file names that we have inside here, also with this extension, because this extension helps us to like process what we want to do with JPEG or SVG or PNG. So for that one, we have the file names dot for each, and then we want to pass down the file, and for each file I want to execute the Sharp library. So I will create a constant and name it a file format, and then we can create another function and call it get extension, where we have the file, and here we can write get extension, which takes the file as a parameter, and inside here we will get the extension, which comes from path dot extension name, file name, and then an empty string dot split the dot, and we want to take everything that's after this one and return the extension dot length -1. So this probably gives us the extension that we need, which is the file format. And if we console log the file format and the file, then we must see all the file names with its extension in our console. So ext, I guess we are pretty much correct, and we missed out function right here, so which takes the file, and I think this is the file name, because we have the file name right here taken as a parameter. So I guess we are pretty much fine. Let's clear down and let's execute this script right here. And as you can see here, we have Blender coders, JavaScript icon one.svg, node image, and workspace. But the only thing is, like, we have this G right here, which tells us our file format is not quite correct. And it's funny that I missed out another bracket right here. So if I execute this right here, then we can see the extension as well as the uh, file names right here inside our console, printed with our console.log right here. So it's really great to just have a loop it down and to print all the things that we need. So it's easier for us to add any condition. So for now, we will just check the file format. If it's SVG, which is this one, then we will not quite process SVG for now. So SVG are obviously lightweighted, so I will just skip it. SVGs will be ignored now. So I will just return if it's an SVG, and if we have the other file formats, which I will write it down and we will process it with SARP. So I've basically, what I've done is I've added another file format and I want to process this SARP to each of the file if it's JPG, and also for the PNG. And for the quality, we have 70 added, and still we can control its quality as well. And I want to ultimately write these all files to a folder right here, which is for now output. So for that one, we can add on sh.to file, and then do file, which is output slash, and then I want to concat the file as well, and this takes a callback function which has the error and the info. So for now I will just console log the info because it has the info of that particular file, and we can see that info if needed. And if we have the error, so if we have the error, and we will also console log the error, or let's say error occurred in image optimization, and then finally return from here. Basically, we have added some dynamic functionality for image optimization processing. So it takes on the file names and also the file which is of the same name that we have, and we added it as output path, and then the same file name that we have should be executed to this particular folder output. So we have currently nothing here. So let's go ahead and run this script right here. So we can write node index, and as you can see here, we have the info of all the images that we have inside of images, and it's converted and optimized to its respective extension. So this is how we can dynamically optimize images with the help of Node and Sharp. So guys, in this video we understood on how we can optimize bulk images as per our need using Sharp library. I know this will be great help for you overall. So thank you so much for watching my videos. If you guys want to learn more about design and development, please like, share, and subscribe with a click down below. I'll be trying to make more better videos like this. See you in the next one.